Bone here, and it is time for us to recap and review the ugly 2025 F1 Italian Grand Prix race weekend. We've got a lot to cover here, so let's just dive right in, folks. Bone! The 2025 F1 Italian Grand Prix was honestly kind of painful to watch. Here's why. For starters, the top 5 drivers at the start of the race ended up being the top 5 finishers at the end of the race, which generally is, a pretty good indicator that a race was not super exciting as a whole. This was largely due to the fact that it was a one-stop race for every single driver, aside from Nico Hülkenberg. Sorry, Hulk, I could not resist doing that. Which meant that there were just minimal ways for chaos to find its way into the race. Yes, there were literally less pit stops during the Italian Grand Prix than there were drivers who started the race, which is just wild. Also, if a medium tire can last almost an entire race without exploding, maybe Pirelli need to rethink their Monza tire range selection for next year. The worst part, though, is that the Italian Grand Prix started out hot, with great battles between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris for the race lead, and between Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc for third place. That was honestly some of the best early race drama of the entire season thus far. Positions were swapped in both these high-stakes battles multiple times within the first 4 laps, which had all of us thinking that we could be on for a spicy Italian Grand Prix.
Nope.
By the end of lap 6, the top 5 was back in the order it started the race in and would end the race in. And honestly, aside from some avoidable collisions, Fernando Alonso's suspension shattering like my dreams of ever being named J-Bone again, Max Verstappen demolishing everyone, and some low-key and not that exciting yet still impressive drives through the field by Lewis Hamilton, Alex Albon, and Isaac Hadjar, really not much else happened from lap 46 to lap 47. That is, until one of the hardest to watch F1 moments I've seen since will.i.am dropped his opposite of a smash hit, the Formula.
This is the Formula.
It is what will go down in history as the McLaren Monza team orders fiasco, where McLaren gave Lando Norris a bad pit stop that led to Oscar Piastri passing him, and then forced Oscar to give the place back to Lando as the two drivers are in the middle of a highly contentious and back and forth World Drivers' Championship title fight. Oh my gosh. I'll be talking in depth about this fiasco here shortly, so stay tuned. But for the purposes of this segment of the video, I will say this. Watching a team willingly force their championship leader to have a negative 6-point swing with his title rival instead of letting things play out on track was one of the more unique F1 things I've ever seen. And I saw the F1 Miami Grand Prix driver intros featuring will.i.am conducting an orchestra that was playing the Formula. So yeah. Monza was not the easiest watch by any means, but it did end up being the quickest race in F1 history, more on that later as well, so at least the pain did not last as long as it could have. Now, before we move on to discussing the biggest takeaways from this race in more detail, including, of course, the McLaren team orders call heard around the world, here's a quick word from one of my sponsors who makes Formula Bone possible. In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick 2. What if you could have all 3 at the same time? That's exactly what some of the world's most innovative brands and AI tech companies have since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper? OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better? In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/bone. That's oracle.com/bone. All right, let's get right into this. Here is the only correct take when it comes to that McLaren team orders call at the Italian Grand Prix. In case you have no clue what I'm talking about, let me catch you up to speed. Pun not intended. On lap 45 of 53 at the Italian Grand Prix, the 2 McLaren cars were in first and second like they have been at every single race this F1 season, except this time their 1-2 was not actually a 1-2. This is because Max Verstappen was just behind the pair in P3, having already made his 1 pit stop, meaning after the McLaren cars eventually made their pit stops, Max would be back out in front with an insurmountable lead. With nothing to lose and everything to gain if a safety car were to come out that would allow the two McLarens to get cheap pit stops and then come out right behind Max Verstappen with a tire advantage, McLaren decided to keep both their drivers out as long as possible before pitting, which was undoubtedly the correct play, even though that safety car never came, and it almost did on lap 41, which would have been incredibly dramatic had Sainz and Behrman not been able to get their cars moving again after their collision. However, at a certain point, McLaren would have to stop hoping for a safety car and just pit both of their cars before they eventually would get caught up to by Charles Leclerc behind and put their still very good P2 and P3 results at risk. After all, you are required to make at least one pit stop during a dry weather race, and neither McLaren car had pitted yet. After consulting with Lando Norris, who was the McLaren driver in P2 ahead of Oscar Piastri in P3 during their safety car waiting game, it was decided that McLaren would actually pit Oscar first when it came time to pit if no safety car came out, since Oscar was more at risk of being overtaken by Leclerc by nature of being the driver behind. Normally, teams would pit the driver ahead first in order to protect their lead, but Lando said he was open to being a team player and helping out Oscar so long as Oscar would not be undercutting him, aka overtaking him, while Lando's in the pit lane. Having been on the other side of this before as the undercutter in Hungary last year, Lando did not want to rely on his title rival letting him back through, as he knows that Oscar could easily just refuse to do so and gain further advantage over Lando in their World Drivers' Championship title fight. So Oscar pits, comes up behind Lando, and is told that after he catches up to Lando once Lando exits the pits, the two drivers are free to race. Except Oscar does not catch up to Lando on track. He, in fact, undercuts Lando on account of Lando's left front tire gunner messing up, which led to Lando's pit stop taking so long that Oscar unintentionally undercut him. Now, this put McLaren in a huge lose-lose dilemma. They could either A, tell Oscar that he has to let Lando back through, as it's what's fair to Lando, who was promised that he would not be undercut if he did what was best for the team and let Oscar pit first, or B, tell Lando that because a slow pit stop is just part of racing, something on which the McLaren team had already decided, Oscar would not be letting him through, and it was just bad luck for Lando, so we can go cry about it. Either way, one of their drivers is angry and they look wildly incompetent. So all that brings us to the only correct take when it comes to that McLaren team orders call at the Italian Grand Prix, and that is this. McLaren put themselves into a lose-lose situation, but handled it as well as was possible by picking the better decision from two bad options when they told Oscar to let Lando back through. McLaren literally promised Lando that Oscar would not undercut him when he kindly decided to let Oscar pit first, so they'd essentially be lying to Lando if they didn't keep that promise when Lando did nothing wrong. Okay, Lando letting Oscar pit first was definitely more out of Lando wanting one extra lap for a safety car to come out than it was out of kindness, but still. Sure, it was an absolute eyesore to everybody in the world to watch the F1 championship leader let his biggest title rival mosey on by him to lessen the points gap between them, but the alternative scenario of Lando Norris losing ground in the title race to Oscar after doing something for the good of the team that wound up biting him in the butt would have been a way worse sight, okay? Do you have a different take here, aka an incorrect take here, since mine is the only correct take? If so, let me know in the comments. Next up, a 22-year-old Formula One record was just broken at the 2025 Italian Grand Prix. Here's the scoop. The 2025 Italian Grand Prix is the new, fastest Formula One race of all time, with race winner Max Verstappen completing its full race distance in just over 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 24 seconds, with an average speed of 251 kilometers an hour or 156 miles per hour. The previous record was set 22 years ago by Michael Schumacher at the 2003 Italian Grand Prix, when he used an average speed of 248 kilometers an hour or 154 miles per hour to conquer Monza in just under 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 20 seconds. It was always going to be at Monza that this record would be broken, considering Monza is the fastest circuit in F1 and always features the quickest race of the season. But the fact that it took over 20 years of racing at Monza for this record to be broken says a lot about just how fast this race was. When Dutch media asked Max Verstappen about his accomplishment, he had one of the most Max Verstappen-esque responses ever. He said, "Of course, it is also new asphalt, different curbs. The track has also simply become faster. If you put that 2020 Mercedes down now, you'll go even faster. Especially if you put me in that car too, then we'll go even faster." Yep, Max went, "That record, it's not about me, the track is just faster now," which is very humble, and then followed it up with, I'm faster than Lewis and Valtteri in their own car, which is obviously not very humble. Max Verstappen is truly an enigma. Fun fact, the inaugural 1950 Italian Grand Prix lasted well over twice as long as the record-setting 2025 Italian Grand Prix, with a race length of 2 hours, 51 minutes, and 17.4 seconds. I'm honestly impressed that they even had tenths of a second back in 1950. I would have thought that was invented later. While the 1950 edition was a significantly longer race at 504 kilometers compared to the 2025 edition's 307 kilometers, the speed difference was pretty gigantic as well, even despite the fact that the 1950 Monza circuit had literally no chicanes. 1950 race winner Nino Farina's average speed was 177 kilometers an hour or 110 miles per hour versus Max Verstappen's 251 kilometers an hour or 156 miles per hour. You know what? I bet if you stuck Verstappen in Farina's car, though, he would have gone way faster. Real quick before I move on, it would be awesome if you could toss this video a like, a comment, and or some hype points if you're on YouTube Mobile. It's like a new thing they're doing where you can hype me up. I'm trying to make YouTube like me more so that their algorithm shows my F1 videos to more people. It's 100% free to like, comment, and or give me hype points, and it really helps me out a lot. So please do it. Please, I need it. Elba! Next up, what's going on with F1 driver Carlos Sainz? After being forced out at Ferrari for the 2025 season by way of the arrival of one Sir Lewis Hamilton, four-time F1 race winner Carlos Sainz found an exciting new home on the F1 grid at Williams for this season and beyond. The Williams racing project has been an exciting one to watch ever since the arrival of team principal James Vowles just before the 2023 season, and after Vowles had a solid debut campaign and then essentially punted on last season's campaign in order to set the team up better for this season and all the future seasons, it looked like Carlos Sainz was going to be arriving at Williams at just the right time to put his proven skills to good use. Except that is absolutely not what is happening right now, and instead, Carlos Sainz, his cousin and manager, also named Carlos Sainz, and his dad, who's also named Carlos Sainz, are all currently down bad. While Sainz's Williams teammate Alex Albon is currently in a super impressive P7 in the World Drivers' Championship with 70 points and has arguably been this season's standout driver, Sainz, on the other hand, is currently reeling all the way down in P18 with just 16 championship points to his name. Despite Sainz saying he feels comfortable in the car, a combination of reliability issues, luck issues, and skill issues have all led Sainz to have an extremely underwhelming debut season at Williams, despite the success that Albon's been able to extract from the team this year. The huge disparity between Albon's and Sainz's results this season, despite me and a lot of people rating them as both solid drivers, has me asking the question, what's going on with Carlos Sainz right now? And I'm going to put that question to all of you. What's going on with Carlos Sainz right now? Do you think it's a Sainz problem, a Williams problem, or something else? Let me know in the comments. Next up, here's how L-Bone's F1 Rookie of the Year race is looking after the Italian Grand Prix weekend. As a reminder, I'm judging the F1 rookies all season long based on their performances relative to their cars, not just points scored. After each race, I award my last place rookie 0 points and my first place rookie 5 points, and the winner of L-Bone's F1 Rookie of the Year race will be the rookie with the most points come the end of the season. Here's how my 2025 rookie standings looked entering the Italian Grand Prix, and here are my Italian Grand Prix rookie rankings. In last place, I have V-Carb rookie Liam Lawson, who qualified dead last and then did not do much during the race, all while his rookie teammate Isaac Hadjar started from the pit lane and wound up finishing in the points. Embarrassing. Lawson also had a super clumsy collision with Yuki Tsunoda, for which he was lucky to avoid a penalty. In 5th place, it's Alpine rookie Franco Colapinto, who also ended up finishing the Grand Prix behind a teammate who started from the pit lane like Lawson. However, Colapinto didn't get absolutely owned by his teammate like Lawson did, so he ranks above Lawson here. In 4th place, it's Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli. Despite being the first Italian F1 driver to finish in the points at their home race since 2019, Antonelli lost positions during the Grand Prix, partially due to receiving a clumsy 5-second penalty for driving erratically, which saw him finish well below his teammate. In 3rd place, it's Haas rookie Ollie Behrman. Okay, stick with me here. Behrman had a solid Monza weekend where he outperformed his experienced teammate Esteban Ocon handily. This solid performance looked like it was going to result in points for Ollie too, before Behrman had that very controversial collision with Carlos Sainz. This collision led to Ollie unjustly, in my opinion, receiving an insane 10-second penalty because the FIA is currently entrenched in its own version of the NFL's what is a catch debate, and theirs is the what is a crash debate. They have no idea what they're talking about. Now, I have a very tough decision to make here between Hadjar and Bortoleto for the top spot. V-Carb rookie Isaac Hadjar started the race from the pit lane and somehow, some way, managed to finish it just barely in the points at P10. Meanwhile, Sauber rookie Gabby Bortoleto qualified an impressive P8, well ahead of his experienced teammate Nico Hülkenberg, and then went on to finish the race in the same position. So how do I rank them? I'm going to set a precedent right here, right now, of siding with the driver who had a better race weekend as a whole, which would be Gabby Bortoleto, due to his solid qualifying performance when compared to Hadjar, despite Hadjar's impressive race. That means VCARB rookie Isaac Hadjar takes second place, while Sauber rookie Gabby Bortoleto takes my top spot for Monza. So here are the updated L-Bones F1 Rookie of the Year race standings as the rookies gear up for Baku. Let me know your thoughts on them in the comments. Sometimes in business, things go crazy and you just need to hire somebody lickety-split. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. Indeed is truly amazing, and I really appreciate them for sponsoring Formula Bone for like 3 years now, so you should support them. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/FBone. Just go to Indeed.com/FBone right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/FBone. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Hey, go to that link. I dare you. You won't. Finally today, we sadly need to talk about how my 3 bona-fide F1 Italian Grand Prix race predictions ended up. To jog your memory, if I could have managed to go 3 for 3 with my Italian Grand Prix race predictions, my name would have turned from L-Bone back into J-Bone, because I'd have gotten back to 50% on the season with my F1 Grand Prix predictions, with a 50% success rate being the limit at which I judge myself to have stopped taking L's. My name doesn't need to be L-Bone anymore. Anyways, I think you see where things are going here, given my use of the conditional tense with that explanation. My first race prediction was that Oscar Piastri would win the Italian Grand Prix. Now, I really wish I could blame the McLaren team orders call that saw McLaren force Oscar to let Lando through as the reason this prediction didn't come true. But unfortunately, that did not come into play whatsoever as Lando Norris finished over 19 seconds behind Max Verstappen. That is just a shockingly large number considering how McLaren have dominated F1 the entire season, and they let Max beat them by 19 seconds. Max fighting for a win at Monza would have been incredible to watch if he'd have actually had to fight for it and not straight up earn it by being so fast that nobody else ever stood a chance. My second race prediction was that Charles Leclerc would finish on the podium at Ferrari's home Grand Prix at Monza. And while Leclerc did put up a valiant effort by finishing less than 5 seconds behind Oscar in P3 after bringing some great on-track battling to Oscar in what was easily the most exciting racing that we saw at Monza, Leclerc finished off the podium in P4, which means I was wrong yet again. And my third race prediction was that Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli would finish in the points at his first home Italian Grand Prix, and ding ding, L-Bone fortunately got that one right to avoid a 0 for 3 doo-doo fest of an Italian Grand Prix. L-Bone! Antonelli's points finish at Monza was just his second points finish in his last 6 Grand Prix, and hopefully it will mark the beginning of the end of his mid-season slump, though I'm not so sure about that, considering he didn't really have that good of a race, and he got a penalty, and there are some tricky circuits coming up, okay? This 1 for 3 performance at Monza means I'm at 22 for 48, aka 46% for the season, which means yes, I am sadly still L-Bone and will unfortunately remain as such until at least the Singapore Grand Prix in 2 races time. Be honest with me, do you think I'll get back to being J-Bone at some point this season? Let me know in the comments after you like this video and give me some hype points, because if my predictions are going to stink, maybe at least I can have videos that don't stink. L-Bone! Toss me a subscription now and ring that notification bell so that you'll get my Azerbaijan Grand Prix preview video next week right when it drops. Special shout out to my top YouTube channel members: Joe Max's #1 hater Snow, Brian Linton, Wolf Loves Racing, Waffleophagus, Melissa Cruz, Elmer Zuber, Logan, and David Hake. Mash that join button just below this video to get your name shouted out right here in future videos. And if you want to join 1,000 plus F1 fans in the free to join Formula Bone Discord, you can go do that through the join link in the description. Until next time, folks, L-Bone! L-Bone!